So I just got up from a little bit of a rest. I have all this congestion, and I thought, I've been wanting to read this book to all of you for a really long time. It was recommended to me by a client. A very touching book for little people and for big people by Hindman. It was written in 1983, I think. And today's the day. I'm ready to do it. I've read through it once completely. It's kind of a long read-ish, but I'm sure we can do this together. I'll be showing you images of it so you can read along with me. And who I recommend would this be good for? Anyone who's curious about touch. Definitely a great book for those people. Realizing I probably will need a Kleenex. My nose is starting to run. People that are also okay with listening to a children's book, even though the topics and the subject matter is, I would say, quite mature. Very mature for children. I think children are this is what we need to be talking to children about. So there's going to be conversation about genitals and images of genitals in a non-sexual way. You're going to hear about different types of touch. The author uses good touch, bad touch, and secret touch. I prefer the language of wanted touch, unwanted touch, and unacceptable touch. But I'm an adult, so we're talking to children. You know, children understand better, like good and bad. Yeah, here are my people that are with me listening in. And it's also people who are just looking for simple language that helps them navigate, like just breaks things down in a real simple way. Because when we talk to kids about touch, it's super simple. This is accessible for that. And it's definitely for adults who have experienced what the author describes as secret touch. And it's not okay. Like, really, really bad. And a majority, I don't know the statistics, it's pretty bad. A high number of people have experienced in childhood secret touch. Secret touch is the kind of touch that you receive, and you're told don't tell anybody about it, right? It's usually by an adult, and it's not intended ever for the child. It's usually to serve the adult in a really inappropriate way. So the book will talk a lot about that. And how I think that relates to what I do is often I see clients who either don't want to be touched or have a really hard time with touch, and it's often because they've had secret touch as children and they have learned it is not safe to be with people. It's not safe to have touch because they weren't able to navigate it as a child. It was not their responsibility. They were not responsible to handle that situation, but they experienced the harm and the impact of that. So now they have the further impact into adulthood and how touch is really difficult. Also, for many of you who have experienced secret touch and who have never told anybody, I hope that this book helps you to come out and talk about it, because it is needed to be able to start to heal from that. We need to talk about it. And in the cuddle sessions, just with people that I experience who do experience touch, often this is still a story that they have, and that some levels of touch are still very difficult because of secret touching. So in me talking about it, I hope that it encourages you to tell somebody. If you've never told anybody, it's never too late. Even if it happened 50 years ago, it's still okay. Tell somebody that you trust, that cares about you. And and know that it is not easy. Even again, it happened a long time ago, it still has impact. It's still hard, and it's still worth telling your story. And lastly, I definitely encourage parents to listen to the story. I do not know if it's easily accessible anymore online. Since it's an old book, I'm sure it's out of print, but for sure, my story is that it's probably hard to find, really, really expensive. Those books that are hundreds of dollars, and then it was originally $15, right? Because it's hard to find. But here it is for you to enjoy as I read it to you. All right, I'm going to get comfortable, and I'm going to turn the camera around so you can read it along with me. Let me get comfortable there. Sorry, because my back support. All right, let's turn the camera around. Oh no, not that way. Hold on. Let's see. There it goes. A very touching book for little people and for big people by Jan Hindman. This is a book about a very special thing called touching. This is the touching team. Yeah, illustrations are very interesting, and actually could spend a long time just looking at them, by the way. And they are a special group of little folks who sort of look like fairies. They know lots and lots about kids and even more about this thing called touching. Let's start with what the word touch means. Touching, verb. When two or more things come together, when one thing is right next to or joining with another thing, then a touch happens. We touch things every day and every minute. If you blow and blow and blow a big, big bubble with your bubble gum, your gum may touch your nose and make a big mess. If you eat a juicy, smooshy, gushy piece of watermelon, your mouth may touch the watermelon and also make a big mess. It will look like you have watermelon lips. Right now, you are touching some things even while you read this book. Can you name some? Well, I'm touching my guys here, my bear, Chewbacca. I'm sitting on a big poof, and my feet are touching the rug. Yes, I can. Of course, we all know that things are different from people. People are different from socks and sand and silly putty. The biggest difference is that people can feel and things can't feel. It is feeling that makes touching things different from touching people. People touching and feelings go together. There are a lot of different feelings. Take a look at this. Let's say you have a nice friend who always gives you 3 bites of her mustard and jelly sandwich. You feel nice about this friend, and when you touch her, it feels nice too. It should feel nice, yeah. And I didn't forget to mention that I will be making commentary about this book while we go along. And my commentary about this is that when I introduce people to touch, who do my retouch program, we do touch objects first, just to kind of learn a little bit about how they experience their body, their hands, their touch. And then when we do transition to people, it is different. There are different expectations. It can be difficult to make that transition. Oh, here it is. They're eating the sandwich. But let's say you're not feeling nice one morning because Mom gave all the milk to the cat, and you had to put Pepsi on your Fruit Loops for breakfast. You aren't feeling very happy, and when your friend touches you, it wouldn't feel nice at all. There's so much to say about that. But our feelings do matter. Sometimes when we're in a grouchy mood, we really want to be touched, but sometimes we don't want to be touched at all. I get that completely, and especially depends on who it is. There are a lot of different kinds of feelings, such as happy, sad, scared, angry. Good ones. Okay. The different kinds of feelings help us understand the different kinds of touching. So, now that you know all about different kinds of feelings, let's pick up those feelings and take a look at people touching. See, what are they doing? Putting feelings in the suitcase? Is that what I see? We're on our way. People touching. Here we go. There are 3 kinds of touching. The first kind makes us feel good. We will call it good touching. Let's see here. 2 people touching. Ooh, it's nice to be here. Go inside the tree. You get to see. They're holding hands. It's nice. There are many ways that people can touch each other and feel good. Maybe while you are reading this, you should touch another person by holding their hand and sitting on their lap, just so we know how good people touching can be. Give them a big smile too, just to get the good feeling started. Interesting. The second kind of touching makes us feel very different than good touching. This kind of touching makes us feel bad. We call it bad touching. Bad touching hurts. There are many ways that people can touch each other and feel bad because of the hurts. Okay. That's happened to all of us. Stubbed our toe. Fell through the fence. The cat. Didn't work. Ready to hurl. Yikes. The meanie. Pushing somebody, looks like. Over there. Kind of peeking. Kicking. Actually, I wasn't pushing. More like kicking. Yikes. Ogre type. All right. The third kind of touching is the hardest to understand because we have so many different kinds of feelings about it, both good and bad. Remember back a few pages when we talked about all the different kinds of feelings? Well, this third kind of touching gives us many, many, many feelings. This kind of touching is about special parts of our bodies. Let's stop and talk about those special parts for a minute or two. That's where it gets interesting. This is the juicy part of the book. It's really juicy. I'm going to give it to you all little by little because it's so good. For a girl, two very special parts of her body are on her chest and between her legs. These are terrific parts, so pay close attention to this. All right, I need to pause because I did forget to mention this at the beginning. This is a very binary book, so gender is 2, girl and boy. I want to acknowledge here that that is not accurate, that these body parts are not gendered. You can have these parts and not be a girl or a boy. Or neither, one or the other. So I will continue reading it as the author intended, but I want you to know that this is not gendered, these parts. I may mention it again as we go through. Okay, continuing, on her chest are 2 bumps. Actually, the chest looks the same as the chest of a boy. Because anyway. Yes, when you're young, you wouldn't know. There's no such thing as gender here, right? It's just bodies with 2 bumps. We know, however, that when she grows older, these bumps will grow into 2 wonderful things called breasts. Breasts are great things to have when you are older. Yeah, well, everybody has breasts, but you know. That's the thing. The other special part of a girl's body is between her legs. She has a small opening to something called a vagina. The vagina is on the inside, so you really can't see it. What you can see are 2 special parts that look like lips. These special lips are called the vulva, and they take very good care of the vagina on the inside. Vaginas and vulvas are great when you are older too. All right, so remember, these bodies can be any gender, but for now, this is what these types of bodies look like. Kind of interesting. All different shapes and sizes and types and ages. We don't see any variety in abilities. Not so much in races, but you get the idea. Could be so much variety. Young and old. Quite fascinating, honestly, I think. And beautiful. Sometimes we use silly names for these special parts of our bodies. People get purple faces when they talk about these parts. Did you get a purple face? I showed you that image. That is usually because they don't know the right word and they use a silly word to cover up their purple faces. You could have giggle gaggle right now. Have a giggle gaggle right now if you want to, just to get rid of the purple faces. Have a grown-up help you and together think of all the silly words you have for girls' special parts. Say each word out loud and giggle and giggle and giggle about each word. Then after all that giggling, throw those silly words away because now you know the right words for those wonderful parts of a girl's body. You know, this is actually really hard for me because I don't really have any like those panocha, I think in Spanish. Biscuit. I mean, I really would have to like make up stuff at this point. Puffy taco. I don't even know silly words, honestly. But look, that's a purple face. Ah, how dare you say these words? And here they're having a giggle gaggle party where they're writing down all the silly words that we use to describe. Which words are we talking about? We're coming to them now. Make sure the grown-up reading this with you knows how to say the right words. Grown-ups are usually the ones with purple faces, so they need the most help in learning the right words. Help the grown-up say each word 3 times with a smile very slowly. Oh, very slowly. Vagina, vagina, vagina. Breasts, breasts, breasts. Vulva, vulva, vulva. Here, you have very rare Sieve pelican, Chovolupus calendarius. I don't know what that means. With a fairy phone. Remember, these are the fairies. Breast, breast, breast. Did you say all those words? Can you say those words? Did you get a purple face? Check for purple faces. Tell the grown-up, good job. Now let's talk about boys. Check your purple face. Was that difficult for you to hear me say those words? Okay. Boys have special parts too, and these special parts are between their legs, just like with little girls. These are wonderful parts, and boys should be very happy with them. A boy has a penis and 2 very special things called testicles. The penis is the longer pointed part, and the testicles are rounder and smaller and hang just below the penis. Boys are very proud of their penises and testicles when they get older, just like girls are proud of their special parts. All right, what do we got going on here? Where are they anyway? I think they're showering. Yes. He's washing his feet. Kind of see testicles there to the side. You got some children's body parts. Big guy, his body part. Now this guy, I feel bad for him. He slipped on the soap and it went that direction. And then he had a soap in his hand and it hits him in the head. Uncomfortable. That's gonna hurt when he hits the floor. This one's looking for the soap, I guess. Oh, here, this guy's in a cast. I'm not sure you're supposed to be in a shower if you're in a cast. This one, the soap hit his toe. There you go. Different bodies. Not sure about ages. But here's definitely showing some ability. You know, there's some, the cast, a little hard to move around that. Very interesting. Again, you should remember that some people, especially grown-ups, use silly names for these wonderful parts. They get purple faces because they don't know the right words to use. You may need to have another giggle gaggle just to get rid of the purple faces. Make sure the grown-up reading this with you can say the right words 3 times with a smile, very slowly. Penis, penis, penis. Testicles, testicles, testicles. Scrotum, scrotum, scrotum. Am I missing anything? Watch for purple faces. Did you get one? Here they are. Our fairies. Penis, penis, penis. Now that we know all about the right words for all of those wonderful special parts for boys and girls, we need to know why all the fuss about those parts. All right, before we get to this next section, I do want to say, often, I'm in this channel of mine and my page and talk about penises and erections and all of this and how difficult it is for us to talk about those things in a session. So I'm also using this book to clarify, like, it's okay to talk about these things, and it's okay to, like, an erection happens, not a big deal. And I find that it also is really important that when someone is having a wanted sexual experience in my session that I did not consent to, often I will call them out on it and be like, tell me a little bit about what you're experiencing and what it is that you're wanting. And often it's really hard for people to be like, you know what, actually, I would really like to have a sexual experience. And actually, I'll show you on my feet so I talk about this. They want something more. And, I think that's honorable, like, that's honest, it's real. And I kind of wish and hope that they would go get that. It's perfectly fine to want those things. It's natural and human and amazing. And sometimes people don't know how to navigate that. So that could be a whole different conversation about, like, how to get that in the world. And that's where the surrogate partner work that I do kind of handles that situation better. And I think the reason we have such difficulty around in this industry with just professional cuddling is because people don't know how to talk about these things. They don't know how to be like, I really kind of want sex, and they leave it in this, like, secret realm. And so people, what I'm about to go into now is secret touching. And the secret thing is actually really powerful. So I think about this more. In some ways, because of the confidentiality of my work, you can kind of experience secret touching with me. I should admit to this. I'll read it. I need to read it, and so you'll get better an idea, because it is a secret that people come and see me. And that's okay. And I consent to that, and we both consent to keeping the secret, to keeping it private and confidential. And at the same time, what's often uncomfortable and not okay is if people use me for they want to touch me secretly, like they have a secret intention. They're trying to get something from me, and we did not discuss it, nor was it consented to, and I bring it up. Or you're not going to walk out of my space without hearing about it. And that can be really hard, because people aren't prepared for me to confront them on it. And I try to confront it in, like, a curious way, like, tell me what's happening with your hips. To explain, would you be willing to explain, like, the movement in your hips? It's often hips, you can imagine. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I was just hoping for, like, I just wanted to feel, like, I just wanted to have that. I'm like, yeah. And so then I hope to get them talking. And getting them talking, hopefully they can get real and honest, and then go get what they want, which is not professional cuddling. Okay, ready for me to continue? There's a little intermission. I'm not even halfway done with the book. I'm telling you, this book is heavy duty. It's getting into the good stuff. Stuff that we don't talk about enough. But here it goes. All right. Follow along. Okay. The reason those parts are so special is that something terrific happens to them. When you are older and more grown up, you can share those parts of your body with someone very, very, very special. Grown-ups share those parts of their bodies with another special grown-up, and it's a wonderful thing for grown-ups, that is. There are two very big reasons why the sharing of those parts is such a great thing. First, while we are growing up, we keep those parts of our bodies very special and private. While we keep things special and private, that means we don't share them with our friends or neighbors or, for instance, the people at the supermarket. If you stop and think about it, we don't share those special parts of our bodies like we do, say, our elbows and ears. Now, I'm just going to say, a little intermission here. You may want to share your special parts. Oh, wait, so hold on a second. As an adult, you may share with your neighbors and your friends, right? We'll get into that. But when you're growing up, that's not what happens, right? So that's why. Let's see what the cat and dog are showing us. Wouldn't it be silly if we were backwards and we kept our elbows and ears special and private, but shared our special parts with everyone else. That would be silly, wouldn't it? Okay, let's see what they're talking about. So, you're at the supermarket and everyone's keeping their elbows and their ears private, but everything else is exposed. Now, I will say, I do live in a world where if it was completely nude, that would be amazing. I would love it. That would be so cool, as long as the weather's warm enough. But the point is talking about children, right? Children get to have their genitals covered up and special, and they are not obligated in any way to at all ever beget some adult's whim over their genitals, right? That's not what it's there for. But you can see. But I mean, if I was in a nude world, that would be cool. I'm good with adults being nude. We usually wear clothes to keep those parts covered, special, private, and special. Even on the hottest day of the year, when we need to take off lots of our clothes just to keep cool, we still keep those special parts private. Remember, we don't cover those parts because they are silly or ugly or nasty. We cover them and keep them private because they're special, unlike no other part of our body. Oh, bikini cat. And here we're at a beach. And even though people are hot, they still got those parts covered. Now, I have been to nudist resorts and nude spaces where, that's not the idea. But again, in this case, majority of places, we do cover those parts out of respect. Not everyone's comfortable, All right. By keeping those parts private and not sharing them with your friends on the school bus. Yeah, look at that little testicle sticking out there. I love that. I just kind of drew that in there. That's awesome. With Santa at the shopping mall. Please do not get nude in Santa. I would not trust that at all. Yikes. With mom's friends at the beauty shop. Well, I think it'd be kind of cute when kids run around naked when they're little. But yeah, probably not the best place, especially with the hairs. Not good for your skin, your feet. With people at the restaurant. Oh, that's just terrible. You definitely want ice cream on your butt. We are able to keep those parts special. That's what makes sharing them with someone when you grow up a great thing. It is nice to share genitals with someone. Another way to understand this idea of keeping things special and private would be to think about this silly idea. Suppose we have Christmas tomorrow and you get to have a big dinner, open presents, and have lots of company. But then the next day, it's Christmas again, and then the next day again and again and again, and on and on and on. What would happen to the special idea of Christmas if we had it every day? You see, if we don't keep those parts special, the sharing of those parts wouldn't be a big deal at all. Just like Christmas wouldn't be a big deal if we had it every day. I don't think this argument works well because, we share our parts with people every day that we're in a relationship with, and it still feels pretty awesome, pretty special, but I get the idea. I think they're just pushing the special thing. I'm not fully convinced with that argument because I don't think it works, but I hope you get the idea. The second reason that the sharing of those parts is such a big deal is that grown-ups need to spend a lot of time thinking about who the special person will be that they decide to share their bodies with. This usually happens after they have thought and thought and thought and thought. They wait and think and wonder. They look and talk and meet lots of people before they can pick the right person. The longer they think and the more they plan, the better the choice is and the more exciting and wonderful it is once it happens. This is a very hard decision. When we are kids, we don't have time to worry about that kind of decision. We are too busy deciding things like, do we want peppermint chip or blueberry nugget ice cream? Do we want a black puppy or brown puppy? Or do we want to watch cartoons or creepy creatures on TV? All right, this one was a little tough for me. Okay, but let me finish it. Choosing someone to share your body with is a big decision, and only grown-ups should decide about that. It's too big of a decision for kids, even for super kids like you. All right, I want to acknowledge that this is not the case for lots of adults. Lots of adults don't have to think and think and think and thunk and thunk and think and wunk, as they say here. And then it is more of a casual experience. I just want to acknowledge that. I don't think it needs to be thought about a lot. Sometimes it's just you have chemistry, you want something, you want to experience pleasure. It is about you. So this page, I'm kind of not 100% along, understanding. I'm not with it completely, but I understand with the author. This is the majority of people. This is their perspective, that you want to think a lot about it. But definitely pushing the point that children do not need to be thinking about this at all. That's true. Little kids, especially. Now, let's get back to the idea of touching. The third kind of touching is called secret touching. It happens when an older or bigger person touches a child's special parts and makes it a secret. Got that? It happens when an older or bigger person touches a child's special parts and makes it a secret. Remember, kids can't decide yet who to share their special parts with, and they are also working very hard to keep those parts special and private. That is why it is not okay for a grown-up or older person to be touching a child's special parts and making it a secret. The grown-up or older person knows this kind of touching is not okay for kids, and they know that they are making a big mistake. They need to keep it a secret so no one will find out. A secret. You gotta bring it out of the shadow. Now, something needs to be said about secrets. Do you know what a secret is? Secret. Noun. A secret is something that you can't tell anyone. It makes you feel funny. It is strange, sometimes exciting, feeling. Sometimes secrets make your tummy feel like it's doing flip-flops. Some secrets are okay and lots of fun, like the secret about your birthday presents. Like the secret about who is wearing the ghost costume. Like the secret about where the Easter bunny has hidden all the eggs. Those secrets are fun and exciting, especially when everyone gets to find out. And the secret is over, but there should never be a secret about the touching of special parts between grown-ups and kids. Never. Sometimes grown-ups need to touch the special parts of children. This touching is okay if the child doesn't feel like they need to keep the touching a secret. Let's see if you can tell when the touching of special parts is okay or not. Okay, depending on secrets. Sometimes a doctor needs to touch you and your special parts to make sure you are not sick. If mom or dad or the nurse is in the same room with you, and you can hurry home and tell your sister how brave you were when the doctor touched those special parts. Is that a secret kind of touching? Yes or no? What do y'all think? Touch the right answer. So we're going to press one of these buttons. Remember, secrets are when you can't tell and no one else knows about it. So even if mom and dad weren't in the room, but you were told later about how brave you were, that would not be secret touching. So the question is, you come home and you tell your parents, was it secret touching? No, it was not secret touching. Let's try again. Sometimes parents need to touch special parts to help their kids, like maybe when they change a baby's diaper. Let's say mom is in the kitchen cooking a big pot of spaghetti, and she begins to have trouble. Your baby sister decides to make a big surprise in her pants. You know how that is. Well, dad has to change the baby's pants, and so he will need to touch all over her special parts. Yikes. Now, if you and mom and the cat and everyone else is there smiling at dad's wrinkled up nose, is that a touching secret? What do you think? We're going to touch one of these buttons right here. No. Next one. Let's try one more time. This will be the hardest riddle about secret touching. Pretend that you visit Grandma and Grandpa in the country. While Grandpa is fishing, you decide to play in the mushy-gushy mud. When Grandpa says it's time to go to the house for dinner, you realize something funny has happened. You have crawling around inside your pants 6 frogs, 8 pollywogs, 2 grasshoppers, and 1 toothless turtle. Since Grandpa smells a little fishy, you both decide to jump in the shower and start scrubbing. You need to get real clean before Grandma comes back from the garden. Since you are so dirty, you are going to need some help getting clean. Your special parts will have to be scrubbed too, so Grandpa is going to help. Now, you are alone with Grandpa. Your special parts are going to be touched. Is that a touching secret? Would it be a secret if, as soon as Grandma gets back, you tell her that you were so dirty you needed scrubbing with your shower, even scrubbing your special parts, and that you will give her lots of help cleaning the critters out of the bathroom? What do y'all think? Grandpa, touching. because it wasn't a secret. Now this one's a little, I don't know, I was a little unsure about this one. Because Grandpa still could be getting something there. I don't know. Grandpa could be secretly being like, yeah, you can tell Grandma, but I liked it. I don't know. I'm terrible. I realize. I don't know. This one seemed, it was a little tricky. I still as a parent would be like, okay, I need to watch Grandpa. That's all for next time. The answer you should have touched is no. Did you? These are not touching secrets, because you can always tell someone, or someone knows about the touching. Secret touching happens when an older, bigger person touches your special parts and makes you feel like you can't tell. Secret touching may happen in the dark or in another secret place, and you may feel so alone and too afraid to tell. Yeah, that sucks right there. That's a real experience. A lot of people have that fear. Especially when you're in your bedroom and you're afraid someone's going to come in. Secret touching may happen with someone you love a lot. Someone who you would feel bad about getting into trouble if you told a touching secret. Yeah, you start to get really small and scared. Secret touching may happen with a trick or promise not to tell about the touching. You may be promised treats or fun or extra love. You may not feel like telling because you want the special things. Yeah. Often that can be a thing hard to say no to. Secret touching may happen with a person so big and important that you feel too little to tell. Your little thing. This shouldn't have happened to you. Although kids are smaller, the important thing to remember is that kids are people too. This means that kids have rights, especially about touching. We all know that kids need help from grown-ups and bigger people. We need to respect grown-ups, and usually we need to do as they tell us to do. But when it comes to touching, both grown-ups and kids need to understand that kids have special rights. Secret touching is not okay for kids, because kids have a right to keep those very private, wonderful parts of their body special and private, so that when they grow up and want to share those parts with someone special, it will be a terrific thing. All right. Let's see here. It's a news report. Secret touching is bad for kids, sure is. Kids deserve good touching. Stop secret touching of kids. Yeah, it needs to be that important that we talk about it. Next page. Secret touching is not okay for kids, because kids have a right to choose someone to share their body with when they grow up. It's a grown-up. If a grown-up or a bigger person touches a kid's special parts, then it cheats the kid out of getting to make their own choice later, when they are older and know a whole lot more about such things. That is so important, because a lot of people are robbed that come to me in sessions. They can't experience touch, or it's really hard because it was cheated. It's very painful. Secret touching is not okay for kids, because kids have a right to feel happy and proud of their special parts. If secret touching happens to kids, they may miss out on feeling great about those parts, and that's not fair. So it is the grown-up who is making the mistake. A lot of people really don't like their bodies because they were touched in a way that felt really disgusting and terrible, and sometimes felt really good, and yet that is so confusing. Yeah. So, more signage. Protests. Big people and little people should remember that. The most important right of all is a kid's right to say, what do y'all think? What is the right? No! No. No. To any kind of secret touching. Really, here's the thing. Nowadays, we talk about kids can say no to any kind of touching, not even secret touching. But this is back in the 80s, so we've advanced some. Even though you may be offered treats, even though you are little, even though you may care about the person, even though you may be scared, even though touching those parts may feel good, you can say no. Now, put on your thinking caps. What should a kid do about good touching? Get lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Yes. Try to get as much touch as you can. If you want it, if it feels good, ask your friends, ask your neighbor, ask your family. Be cautious about coworkers. What should kids do about bad touching? Try not to give it. Try not to get it. It don't hurt to be nice. Look, aw, let's be friends. I know this is wishful thinking, but there you go. Maybe. What should a kid do about secret touching? Tell. Even if you're confused and not sure if it's secret touching, tell someone so they can help you decide. Oh my gosh, I wish people would just talk more. Seriously, just tell somebody and be like, what do you think? That would be so awesome. If you tell someone about secret touching or about any touching you don't understand, then it won't be a secret anymore. If you tell someone, the secret will stop and everyone will feel better. Secrets about touching are too heavy for kids. Kids need to be kids and not have to worry about the kind of touching that is only for grown-ups. There are lots of people who can help you with the secrets. A teacher, policeman, I don't know, policeman. Be careful. A mom or dad, sister or brother, or school counselor. Well, probably the list could be better than that one, but they get the gist. And probably the person or grown-up who was nice enough to read this book with you. They would be an especially good person to tell, since they know all about touching and kids rights. Yes, I'd be happy to hear what you might want to share with me about this. I'm here for a session, here to hold you while you tell me the story. All right, here are those fairies. Now that you know all about touching, goodbye, good luck, and good touching. Whee! Oh, there's an airplane. They threw it. There are the fairies. The end. Oh, look at that little cute booty. All right, I'm turning you around. All right, well, our fun's here. Enjoyed reading that book to you. Oh, my hands. I had a little crampy from holding the book. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, I got you thinking. I was born in 1979. This book would have been close around the time when I could have heard it, maybe, or at least the beginning. I was pretty kind of young, but it would have been almost that time to start reading that book to me as a child. And some of us we're back in the 80s when this book could have been read to us. If that's you, or maybe you're older, or maybe you're younger than me, it doesn't really matter. This book is really relevant. We don't grow out of this. It's still happening all the time that people are experiencing secret touching. And what I'm hoping for is that you have more of the good touching in your life. Bad touching, what am I going to say about that? That's the stuff. But talk about it as well. And of course, secret touching. There's no more secret touching. That's my hope, that we can end it completely. Thanks for listening.